Part 3 of the series opens with Wednesday performing a ritual to contact her ancestor, Goody Addams. She hopes that her ancestor will help her in controlling her psychic power. Enid pops in, breaking Wednesday's concentration. While the two chat, a mysterious someone slips a note card underneath their door. It says if Wednesday wants answers, she must go to Joseph Crackstone's crypt at midnight. Enid accompanies Wednesday to the crypt, and it turns out to be a birthday surprise party for our goth heroine. As they sing her happy birthday, she notices the writing on the old fireplace is the same as the writings burned on the school's lawn. Suddenly, she gets a vision and sees Goody warning her about Crackstone's impending visit. Goody cannot help her hone her psychic powers, but she can direct Wednesday toward her next step. The latter must explore the decrepit mansion looming before them. It holds the answers she seeks. Elsewhere, Principal Larissa visits the mayor and asks for his help tracking down the delinquents who left the burning message in her school. The mayor is happy to oblige and also tells her they are working on finding the person behind the recent attacks. Back at the academy, Xavier stands next to Wednesday while she examines the fire will rain message on the school lawn. Xavier tries to find out the vision Wednesday had in the crypt. Since she still views him as a suspect in the ongoing investigation, she refuses to disclose any information. Later, Wednesday visits Eugene, who's still in a coma. Dr. Valerie Kinbot enters the room with flowers. Eugene's moms ask the doctor to check up on him when they head home for a few days. She tries to get close to Wednesday, but she is not looking for a free session, so she leaves the room. Meanwhile, the mayor continues his investigation. He receives the death certificate of Garrett's sister, who supposedly drowned while overseas. He is suspicious of her death and wants to make sure it is not related to the recent attacks. In the local coffee shop, Wednesday visits Tyler, who wants to take her out on a date on her birthday. However, as usual, she gives him the cold shoulder. The sheriff drops in and Wednesday informs him about what she found in Crackstone's crypt, but he essentially tells her to stop investigating the case. Later, Wednesday and Thing visit Xavier in his art studio. She shows him a sketch she created of the creepy gated mansion from her vision. Xavier whips out the drawing he made of the same area, revealing he started having those strange dreams again. The gated mansion used to belong to the Gates family. The next morning, Wednesday visits the mansion and sees the mayor leaving the house. She and Thing hop in the back of his car after overhearing his voicemail to the sheriff. He thinks he has figured out who is behind the attacks and asks to meet the sheriff at the cafe. He drives to the cafe, unaware that Wednesday and Thing are hiding behind. When they arrive in town, a blue Cadillac hits the mayor as he crosses the street to meet with the sheriff. Following the incident, the sheriff records a statement from Wednesday, who claims she crawled into the back of Walker's car to learn more about what he had discovered at the Gates mansion. Once back at Nevermore, the principal reprimands Wednesday by revoking her outside privileges, that is, going into town. The next morning, Wednesday calls Tyler and tells him that she has reconsidered his offer for a date. But we know that this is only an excuse for our heroine to get out of the academy and continue her investigation. She then tricks Enid to sneak out of the school and have a redo of her birthday party. They sneak out and Tyler picks them up outside. Meanwhile, Xavier knocks on Wednesday and Enid's window, wherein he finds Thing pounding away on the typewriter. Thing reveals to him where the girls are headed. Next, our trio forges ahead into the Gates mansion, much to Enid and Tyler's shock. They finally realize they have been tricked by Wednesday. Tyler is disappointed as he thought they were going on a private date. Enid is disappointed as she thought they were going to have a girls' night out. However, they continue with Wednesday inside the mansion. At the mansion, Wednesday uncovers the blue Cadillac that struck the mayor. Then, while inside, she finds a hidden altar for Joseph Crackstone, and the candles are still warm. Everyone splits up to search the ostensibly haunted mansion. Next, Enid calls for Wednesday, and the pair investigate one bedroom that appears perfectly organized and tidy. The bed's made, and there are fresh flowers. Wednesday finds a music box with the initials LG on it, Laurel Gates. That's the name of the file Walker perused earlier. Before they can investigate further, Enid and Wednesday hear Tyler screaming for help, warning them about the monster. The monster chases the girls through the house, and they find themselves in a basement. In the basement, they find the trophies the monster took from his victims. These trophies are body parts that belong to the murderer's victims. They don't have much time, so they get out of the house and circle back to find Tyler. They find him alive, but with long claw marks on his chest. Xavier also arrives at that moment and helps them with Tyler. They then take Tyler back to his house. The sheriff wanders in and orders the Nevermore kids to depart. Next, Wednesday takes the sheriff back to the Gates house, but everything has been cleared out. There is no sign of the trophies or the monster. The sheriff thinks that she is lying, and he is angry that she endangered his son's life. Wednesday is forbidden from seeing his son again. Once back in her room, she examines the music box that she retrieved from the mansion. Suddenly, a flurry of photos falls out from its bottom. They're all of Wednesday and her loved ones. Elsewhere in the hospital, we see someone with a gloved hand unplugging Walker's ventilator while unconscious in the hospital. The next scene shows Mayor Walker's funeral. Whoever unplugged his ventilator effectively killed him. Wednesday observes the mourners, thoroughly convinced the murderer is right under her nose. Suddenly, she spots a stranger lurking in the distance. She follows the stranger into the surrounding woods to discover it's none other than Uncle Fester. Fester tells his niece he needs a place to lay low for a few days after a job. Wednesday puts him up in Eugene's beehive barn. She then discusses her case at hand with her uncle. Fester mentions the creature our heroine is looking for is called Hyde. Nathaniel Faulkner, who founded Nevermore Academy, studied the monsters extensively. Fester reveals that Faulkner kept his diary in the Nightshade's library. Wednesday proposes they head there later to retrieve it. Later that night, Wednesday visits the secret Nightshade's room. The uncle-niece duo absconds with Faulkner's diary. Next, Wednesday peruses the diary. She finds plenty of information on Hydes. They're artists by nature, meaning they are normal people. The Hyde side remains dormant until someone unlocks it via hypnosis or chemical inducement. It can also be unleashed as the result of a traumatic event. The Hyde inevitably bonds with its liberator, aka its master. The next morning, Wednesday spies on Xavier as she is convinced he is the monster. She and Fester secretly follow him and spy on him as he meets Dr. Kinbot in the woods. She thinks that Dr. Kinbot is the master and rushes to tell the principal. However, when she arrives at the principal's office, Wednesday is shocked to find the therapist there and decides not to inform the principal anymore. Later, Wednesday visits the cafe and shows the diary to Tyler. His dad sees them and chooses to ignore him. He is busy trying to find Fester, who apparently was involved in a bank robbery. After the sheriff leaves, Tyler asks Wednesday on a date and refuses to take no for an answer. They plan to meet at the Crackstone's crypt. Later that night, Wednesday goes to the date and asks Thing to stay back and watch the diary. At the crypt, Tyler has prepared a sweet and romantic date, and Wednesday finds herself enjoying it. Tyler reasserts his desire to be more than friends, but our goth girl tries to talk him out of it. When Tyler romantically inches closer to kiss, his father, the sheriff, barges in with his team. The cops are looking for Fester. After her interrupted date, Wednesday returns to her dorm to find it ransacked. Whoever did this also stole Faulkner's diary. The culprit also stabbed Thing through the pawn and affixed him to the wall. Wednesday rushes Thing to Uncle Fester and demands he does something. Fester warms up his electrical abilities and attempts to resuscitate Thing via electroshock. Thankfully, Fester succeeds, bringing Thing back to life. Wednesday asks her uncle to leave the school premises the next day as the police are closing in. The next day, Bianca and Luca approach Wednesday and tell her they have information on the person who killed the mayor. Luca's found some information his dad left on his laptop. He thinks his dad recognized Laurel and was about to out her when she killed him. According to them, a 90-year-old heiress purchased the Gates mansion and passed a year later. Her caretaker's name was an anagram of Laurel Gates. So, Laurel returned to Jericho to exact revenge on those who harmed her family. Wednesday's parents, the mayor, and the coroner are prime examples of this. Wednesday suspects that Dr. Valerie Kinbot is the killer. Next, she decides to visit her therapist, Dr. Kinbot, who she thinks is the master of the Hyde, and confront her. The therapist is confused by her accusations and thinks Wednesday has finally lost it. After Wednesday leaves, Dr. Kinbot calls the principal to complain about Wednesday's vile accusations. While on the phone, she hears someone in the bathroom. Upon opening the door, we see the Hyde monster spring on the doctor. Later, Principal Larissa sits with Wednesday in the hospital's waiting room when the sheriff informs them of Dr. Kinbot's death. Wednesday decides to end it all, so she goes to Xavier's secret art studio and confronts him. She notes how intricate and accurate his sketches of the Hyde monster are. Xavier continues to deny the accusations. Suddenly, the sheriff and his crew barge into the studio, having found the victim's belongings in Xavier's studio. With evidence on hand, they arrest Xavier. Poor Xavier repeatedly tells the police that he is being framed, but no one believes him. Next, Wednesday wanders into the local coffee shop. After some flirting, she finally kisses Tyler. However, she's slammed to the ground by a powerful vision. In the vision, she sees Dr. Kinbot lying in a pool of blood with none other than Tyler, who has just transformed from a raging monster to a human. He remains shirtless and bloody, looming above Dr. Kinbot's lifeless body. Turns out, Xavier is innocent after all. Wednesday rushes out of the shop post-vision, paralyzed with fear, leaving Tyler confused about what went wrong. Later that night, our heroine calls Tyler into the woods. He thinks it's another date, but Wednesday reveals him as the Hyde monster. Naturally, Tyler denies it and wonders why she would meet him alone if he were the murderous creature. To his surprise, a handful of Nightshade's members, including Bianca and Yoko, emerge from the shadows to back up Wednesday. They take him to Xavier's art studio and tie him down on the chair with chains. Wednesday starts interrogating him. As it turns out, Tyler's mom was a Hyde and she thinks Tyler got the genes from her. He claims his mother had severe bipolar disorder, but she was a Hyde, as is he. Tyler then vehemently denies everything. Wednesday Wednesday is not moved by his fake plea and switches it up to torture him, believing that a Hyde only understands pain, so perhaps torturing will trigger Tyler. Next, Wednesday whips out 2 tasers, giving the other students a pause. They didn't sign up for a torture session. When Wednesday begins shocking Tyler, others leave as they don't want to be involved anymore. Meanwhile, the sheriff listens to recordings from Dr. Kinbot's sessions with Tyler. Turns out he was one of her clients as well. She explains how the loss of his mother left deeper psychological scars than she initially realized. Just then, the sheriff gets a call from Principal Larissa, informing him about Tyler's kidnapping Bianca, and the others had rushed to inform the principal about what's happening. Next, the sheriff and his crew barge into the art studio before Wednesday can inflict more pain on Tyler. Wednesday and Tyler are taken to the police station. Principal Larissa tells Wednesday that Galpin won't press kidnapping charges. As Wednesday is about to leave the police station, Tyler asks to speak to her privately. He confesses to the crime and tells her that every time he killed, he felt thrilled by his victim's fear. He warns her that she has no idea what is coming next. Consequently, the principal decides enough is enough and expels Wednesday and tells her to get ready to leave the school the next afternoon. Wednesday tries to convince her to give her more time to prove that Tyler is a Hyde. The principal refuses and says she is disappointed in how Wednesday turned out to be. Next, Wednesday and Enid bid a bittersweet farewell. She even shares a goodbye with Bianca and the Nightshades and warns them to be prepared for what Tyler is planning next. Meanwhile, Ms. Thornhill also gives her white oleander as a parting gift and wishes her the best. Before leaving town, Wednesday visits Eugene, who is awake from his coma. At the hospital, Eugene sits upright in his bed, surrounded by bee-themed gifts. Our beekeeping club besties finally reunite. Wednesday asserts that Dr. Kinbot set the Hyde cave ablaze, and she controlled Tyler before he turned on her. However, Eugene recalls seeing someone wearing a black coat and boots before the cave burst into flames, red boots, to be exact. Wednesday quickly realizes that the only person she has seen with red boots is Ms. Thornhill. Next, she returns to the school and confronts Ms. Thornhill, a.k.a. Laurel Gates, in the school's conservatory. Ms. Thornhill initially brushes off the accusations, but grows increasingly frustrated with Wednesday's persistence. Wednesday tells her that Tyler confessed everything to her. She points out Ms. Thornhill's wicked plans and how she triggered Tyler's Hyde via plant chemicals. Now, Tyler refers to her as his master. Meanwhile, Tyler appears from behind and watches the confrontation. Faced with the bare fact stated by Wednesday, Ms. Thornhill confesses and asks Tyler to kill Wednesday, only that Tyler isn't the real one. It is Principal Larissa, who has shape-shifted into the boy. The principal swiftly transforms back, much to Ms. Thornhill's surprise. She then asks Ms. Thornhill, Laurel, to cooperate. Ms. Thornhill, at loss, injects Larissa with nightshade poison. Unfortunately, the principal Larissa dies seconds after the poisoning. Then, Ms. Thornhill knocks Wednesday unconscious with a shovel. Meanwhile, Eugene video calls Enid and reveals Ms. Thornhill is the baddie, and Wednesday and Principal Larissa went to confront her. Enid vows to check the conservatory for them. Just then, Thing arrives and frantically fills Enid in on the dire situation and Wednesday's kidnapping. Then, we see a blood moon rising in the sky. Wednesday wakes in the crypt while chained to the wall. Ms. Thornhill reveals her plan to eradicate the school. She is planning to bring back Crackstone using the body parts of Tyler as a Hyde, collected from his victims. Turns out, Goody didn't only kill Crackstone, she cursed his soul too. Ms. Thornhill hopes to use Wednesday to unseal the blood lock on the tomb that Goody locked Crackstone in. We learn that Wednesday is the key to opening it up, as she is the living descendant of Goody. The ritual needs to be done on a night of a blood moon, so Ms. Thornhill has it all planned. In the meantime, the sheriff is on his way transporting the falsely accused Xavier to prison. But when he gets a call from an officer alerting him that Eugene's parents believe something wrong is happening at Nevermore, he decides to go to the school. Back at the crypt, Ms. Thornhill moves Wednesday to the seal on Crackstone's tomb and slices the latter's hand. The ritual awakens Crackstone, who promises his vengeance will be swift and true. Wednesday tries to confront him, but he stabs her, and they leave her for dead. Thankfully, Goody appears before her and tells her how to defeat Crackstone. She tells her to use the talisman necklace her mom gave to her. The talisman will allow Goody to pass through Wednesday and heal her, but she will never be able to see her again. Wednesday agrees and is healed by her ancestor. Back at the academy, Enid meets with Bianca and the Nightshades in the Nightshades library. Enid suggests the Nightshades and the Sirens use their manipulative ability to evacuate the school. She then volunteers to take Thing and search the woods for Wednesday. As she rushes to save Wednesday on Blood Moon Night, Enid finally starts transforming into a werewolf. Back in the woods, the sheriff changes his mind and decides to track the location of his son. He leaves Xavier locked in his car and heads into the woods. Thankfully, Xavier is freed by Thing. After being healed, Wednesday rushes to stop Crackstone, but meets Tyler on the way. He morphs into his Hyde monster and starts attacking her, but Enid appears in her full wolf form and starts fighting the monster. Meanwhile, Crackstone arrives at the school and begins destroying everything in sight. The battle between the werewolf and the Hyde turns into a brutal, bloody bath. Enid walks away victorious, transforming into a human in time for Thing to find her. The sheriff discovers Tyler lying unconscious and naked in the leaves, covered in blood. Next, Wednesday returns to Nevermore and arms herself with her father's sword. She prepares to slash Crackstone, but he is too strong. Xavier arrives at the scene and shoots an arrow at Crackstone, but the Walking Dead turns the arrow back in the former's direction. Wednesday steps in front of it, taking said arrow in the shoulder. Wednesday rises to her feet and continues fighting Crackstone. Unfortunately, her sword snaps into several pieces. Our smart heroine remembers what Goody told her about defeating Crackstone and stabs him in the heart with a piece of what's left of the sword. He dissipates into thin air, but the fight is not over as Ms. Thornhill charges in with a gun. Luckily, Eugene makes his grand entrance with his bees and makes them attack her. The school is finally saved. Later, Enid reunites with the Nevermore students hiding out in the woods. Then, she runs to embrace Wednesday. In the next scene, we see the Addams family butler, Lurch, removing the last of Wednesday's belongings from her room. Classes have been cancelled for the remainder of the semester. Wednesday bids farewell to her friends and then spots Xavier lounging on the floor above her. Xavier gives her a gift. It's a phone, and he even puts his number in the contacts. The final scene of the series shows Lurch driving Wednesday home. While sitting in the backseat of the family car, she receives a text from a mysterious someone. They send her pictures, claiming they're watching her. Meanwhile, we see an armored truck on the road, with a subdued and bound Tyler inside. Suddenly, he wakes and begins transforming into his Hyde monster. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.